system of justice. Do you stand by your comments criticizing individuals who violently assault law enforcement?
Yes, Senator, I do.
Do you believe that the January 6 offenders who were convicted of assaults on law enforcement attacked the American system of justice?
Senator, I think that calls for me to
Is your
make
microphone on?
yes, it is. I'm sorry. I'll move closer. Senator, I think that the question asks for me to wade into like a matter of public controversy and a political issue, and therefore I cannot offer.
Too hot to handle, huh?
I'm sorry?
Too hot to handle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Hot News Today. Today we got a really intense hearing to react to. And I have to say Senator Dick Durbin came through impressively. Right from the start, you can tell they are asking the tough questions that matter to justice and fairness in our system. What really stood out to me is how Durbin holds nominees accountable while keeping the focus on rehabilitation and upholding the law. This isn't just political theater. It's about protecting the integrity of our courts and ensuring our criminal justice system works for all Americans. Before we dive into the full video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a reaction like this. Trust me, you're going to want to hear my full take on this one.
Thank you. I'm sorry I had to step out, but I'll certainly be briefed by my staff as to the issues that you've discussed. Mr. Ganji, as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Texas, you have repeatedly criticized defendants who assaulted law enforcement officers. For example, you stated on multiple occasions that you employ a, quote, zero-tolerance policy against these offenders, and you argued that individuals who attack law enforcement are, quote, attacking the American system of justice. Do you stand by your comments criticizing individuals who violently assault law enforcement?
Yes, Senator, I do.
Do you believe that the January 6 offenders who were convicted of assaults on law enforcement attacked the American system of justice?
Senator, I think that calls for me to
Is your
make
microphone on?
yes, it is. I'm sorry. I'll move closer. Senator, I think that the question asks for me to wade into like a matter of public controversy and a political issue, and therefore I cannot offer.
Too hot to handle, huh?
I'm sorry?
Too hot to handle.
No, Senator. I think just as a judicial nominee, it would be imprudent, and I think the canons of judicial conduct would prohibit me from weighing in on political matters such as that and matters of public controversy such as that.
Mr. Falks, the most important criminal justice reform legislation in a generation was the First Step Act of 2018. I was proud to lead this and follow the real leader, Chairman Grassley. It was signed into law by President Trump during his first administration. First Step Act represented a bipartisan recognition that we can and must do better when it comes to our criminal justice system in order to make our communities safer for all Americans. We've made great strides in bolstering public safety through the mechanisms of the First Step Act. What are your thoughts on the First Step Act as a federal prosecutor, and what steps will you take as a judge if you're confirmed to ensure that you encourage rehabilitation whenever possible?
I think it's an important piece of legislation, as you stated, Ranking Member Durbin, and I appreciate the question. I think that the First Step Act takes into account certain factors that are so important to the justice system. And some of those factors are obviously located already in 18 U.S.C. 3553A, the history and characteristics of the defendant, their past conduct, the nature and circumstances of the offense. But I think it also takes into account the notion of rehabilitation. And in Western Arkansas, we have something called the Focus Court, which our office has worked closely with our judges in Western Arkansas to attempt to rehabilitate those individuals who've been convicted of nonviolent drug offenses and other nonviolent offenses, and to prepare them to re-enter society and to be valuable members of society. And so I think the First Step Act is an important part of that, signaling the importance of rehabilitation of some of the criminals in our justice system.
On another issue, related issue, the question of court orders. There seems to be some doubt and some questions have been raised as to whether or not the Trump administration follows the orders of a court in a prompt fashion and in a complete fashion. What will you consider to be the status of a court order if you issue a final order
I believe
on the bench?
that any order that's issued by a federal district court carries with it great weight, and it carries with it an analysis of the statute, an analysis of the factors before the court, and I think that it should be given great weight and great deference. With regard to speaking on current public controversies, I'm simply constrained by the judicial canons, especially Canon 5, which prohibits, political speech and political conduct. But I would say my answer to your question is that the rulings of the court are inherently important to our justice system.
Mr. Ganji, ruling by the court on the executive branch members, is it required to be followed?
Senator, if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed as a judge, any order that I enter, I would expect the parties, regardless of who they are, to follow them.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes, Senator. If I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed, I would expect that any order that I enter would be followed by the parties.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, now that we've seen the full hearing, let me break it down. Senator Durbin showed exactly why they're a strong voice in the Senate. They weren't afraid to push the nominee on really critical issues, like attacks on law enforcement and the First Step Act. One thing I really appreciated was how Durbin highlighted the importance of rehabilitation in our justice system. They didn't just ask for sound legal answers. They reminded everyone that our courts are about more than punishment. They're about preparing people to return to society as productive citizens. That's real leadership right there. I also loved how they addressed court orders and compliance. Durbin made it clear that justice doesn't get paused because someone is in power. Any judicial nominee must respect the law, no exceptions. And their questions made it obvious that accountability matters to them. Honestly, watching Durbin handle this hearing gives me confidence that they're always fighting for a fair, balanced, and humane justice system. It's not about politics. It's about protecting the principles that keep our country safe and just. So yeah, that's my take. Senator Durbin came across as fair, knowledgeable, and tough when it counted. If you value integrity in our legal system, this is exactly the kind of leadership we need more of. And remember, if you enjoyed this reaction, hit like, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Hot News Today. We'll be bringing you more reactions like this from the biggest political hearings, right here